You ever watch something change, like right in front of you? It's kind of like magic, isn't it? But what's really going on when everyday stuff just transforms? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. Let's pull back the curtain and see the science behind the magic. And look, this isn't some crazy thing that only happens in a high-tech lab. Nope. These transformations are happening all around you, all the time. So let's look at a few examples you've absolutely seen before and think of them as little mysteries we've got to solve. Okay, first up, a burning candle. Seems pretty straightforward, yeah? But think about it. You've got this solid block of wax and it turns into light and heat, and then it's just gone. Poof. Where did it go? This whole disappearing wax thing, that's our first piece of the puzzle. Or how about this one, a shiny iron nail? You leave it outside, maybe it gets rained on, and pretty soon that strong, silvery metal turns into this flaky, reddish-brown rust. The nail you started with, it's basically gone, and this new stuff is in its place. All right, that's puzzle piece number 2. And here's one of my favorites, cooking an egg. You crack it open, and it's this clear, gooey liquid, right? A few minutes in a hot pan, and bam, it's solid and white. And you can't go back, can you? You can't uncook an egg. It has been totally and completely changed forever. So, a burning candle, a rusty nail, a cooking egg. What's the common thread here? What is actually going on when these things change so dramatically? That's the big question we're going to tackle right now. Okay, so before we dive any deeper, we need to clear something up. Because, not every change is the same kind of change. Some are just superficial. We got to rule out the obvious first, just to make sure we're all talking about the same thing. All right, little pop quiz for you. True or false, when water boils and turns into steam, that's a chemical change. What do you think? Just for a second, is steam a totally new thing, or is it still just water? And the answer is false. That's what we call a physical change. This right here lays it out perfectly. In a physical change, you're just changing the form. H2O is still H2O, whether it's a solid ice cube, liquid water, or a cloud of steam. But a chemical change, now that's different. That's when a brand new substance gets made, like with our candle and our egg. And that's the kind of deep transformation we're really interested in. So, how do we actually spot one of these chemical changes out in the wild? Well, lucky for us, there are signs. Clues, really. You can think of this as your official detective kit for spotting a real-deal transformation. And here they are, the 4 big clues. If you see fizzing or bubbles, well, that's a gas being produced. If things suddenly get hotter or colder, remember the heat from the candle? That's a big one. An unexpected color change? Hello, rusty nail. Huge clue. And the last one is a bit weird. It's when a solid suddenly forms inside a liquid. Scientists have a fancy name for it, a precipitate. If you see any of these signs, chances are you're looking at a chemical reaction. Okay, detective kit is ready. Let's put it to the test, shall we? We're going to use a total classic, I'm sure you've seen this one, the old baking soda and vinegar volcano. It's perfect for seeing these clues in action. You know the drill. You mix baking soda with some other stuff, then you pour in the vinegar, and whoosh! So what clues are we seeing? Well, the most obvious one is all that fizzing and bubbling, right? That is clue number 1, gas production. And hey, if you could actually touch the bottle, you'd feel it get a little chilly. That's clue number 2, a temperature change. Yep, no doubt about it, that is a chemical reaction for sure. Okay, so we've seen all the evidence on the outside, the stuff we can see with our own eyes. But what's really happening on the inside? I'm talking about the microscopic level, way too small to see. It's time for the big reveal. Let's zoom in and see what the atoms are up to. And here it is, the secret sauce. A chemical reaction is basically a great big atomic shuffle. That's it. The atoms themselves aren't being created or destroyed. They're just rearranging. The best way to think about it is like they're Lego bricks. You're not making new bricks or getting rid of old ones. You're just taking your creation apart and snapping the same bricks together in a new way to build something totally different. You know, this whole idea that atoms just get rearranged, it leads to one of the most important, most fundamental rules in all of science. It's a law that can't be broken, and it's in charge of every single one of these transformations we've been talking about. It's called the law of conservation of mass. And all it really means is that whatever amount of stuff you start with, you have to end up with that exact same amount. Nothing just vanishes into thin air, and nothing is created out of nowhere. It just changes its shape. So that candle wax, it didn't actually disappear. It just got rearranged into invisible stuff, like carbon dioxide gas and water vapor. Let's go back to our volcano for a second and check the accounting. On one side, you have the stuff you start with, the reactants. And on the other, the new stuff you made, the products. That law of conservation of mass means every single atom from the baking soda and the vinegar has to show up on the other side. They're all still there, just they've got new dance partners now. And this core idea that matter changes, but it's never lost, I mean, this has been the key to some of the biggest scientific discoveries ever. You think about pioneers like Marie Curie. She dedicated her entire life to figuring out these deep transformations inside matter. And her work, her just relentless search for answers, it led to the discovery of brand new elements and completely changed how we understand our world. It just goes to show understanding the tiniest changes can lead to absolutely massive breakthroughs. So there you have it. You've got the toolkit now. You know that a chemical change means something new gets created. You know the 4 clues to look for. And you know the unbreakable rule. Nothing is ever really lost. You know, from the breakfast you ate this morning to the very air you're breathing right now, your life is just one big series of these amazing invisible transformations. So the only question left is, what transformations will you discover today?